Hey everybody, what is up? This Devin Lavore coming at you from a slightly different location. And and of course we always want to say thank you. We like to start our videos by saying thank you to those who give to us. It is a huge, huge blessing, particularly for those who have been just next to us throughout this entire journey. It's just been very, very awesome. God is taking all of us somewhere really cool if we stick with him and we don't give up. Amen. And so if you would like to give, the Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal links are below, and we really appreciate it because whatever you give, that's what we use to live, because that's how we're doing this these days. And so huge thank you. It's a blessing beyond what we can tell. And so today I wanted to talk about everybody's up now, so you might hear people in the background, but today I wanted to talk about something that was really kind of just hitting me the last couple days, but particularly today, but because there's a lot of testimonies going on. There are a lot of things going on. We can see a lot of people moving. A lot of people moving in the spirit, God moving on people's lives, and things are literally happening. Undeniable things are happening in their lives. And then it can be very hard to be in our position, because we constantly in this position have to battle, not as much as we used to, but it can crop up every once in a while. Man, are we missing it? Are we doing something wrong? Are we, what I'm saying? And it's look at what's happening in other people's lives. It's not happening for us. It's very clearly, evidently not happening for us. What's going on, And you can be tempted by others and the enemy and your flesh, and then you start to move off of that, but it's not led by the Spirit, and that's called giving into temptation. It's what the enemy tried to do to Jesus. You got to be led by the Spirit, and the Spirit. You got to know what the Spirit's saying. And so anytime we have situations like that, which I have struggled with a tad bit, but see, that's the thing. Even a tad bit is a leaven, right? It's a little bit of yeast, and it'll leaven the whole lump if you're not careful. And then before you know it, that thought or that inkling is now taking over your whole life, And so I take it to the Lord. I was like, Lord, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And so I'm talking to Michelle about it. And I'm like, man, I'm trying not to look around at other people's lives and be jealous or envious. But it's I'm looking and I'm going, dude, is it going to be my turn? Our turn soon? Anytime? Or are you just on the B's? You waiting to get to the L's? Oh, okay, that's cool. That's cool. As long as you're doing roll call, Lord, I'm good. You know what I mean? That's how it can be. But for real, you're trying to keep a right attitude, but you also cannot ignore this leaven of something going on in your heart that's just what about me? I know that sounds so selfish, right? It sounds so wrong. But it's Lord, you're doing all these things in people's lives. What about us? And so I'm talking to Michelle about it, and I'm like, Michelle, what's going on? What do you think about all this? I'm trying to be good, but I don't think it's working. I'm kind of getting the thing that I'm dealing with is it's growing. It's not decreasing. And then Michelle was like, well, Debbie, you have to realize it like this, and because you can tell when Michelle's getting something, because she'll do this thing, and you can tell ooh, oh, there's the transmission from heaven right there. I'm just waiting to see what it's going to say. And she's like, well, you got to look at it like this, God's just moving the chess pieces, and you don't move the chess pieces all at once. You do them one at a time, and then a move here, and then a move there, and then a move there. And she's like, God's already moved us. He's moved us into the position that he wants us to be, and he moved us a long time ago. And so right then I was thinking yeah, that reminds me of when the priests went into the middle of Jericho. They went first and they just stood there, and then everyone else was crossing. So they're literally standing there in their position as everyone else is crossing, And I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to relate this to any particular time frame or times and seasons that God's doing, but at the same time, it does kind of fit, right? And so it's like, just because you see God moving in other people's lives doesn't mean he's not moving in yours, you know? Particularly if you're all a part of the pieces of the Lord that he's using. He's got to use those pieces at different times, you know? I remember when I went on my first mission trip to Honduras. It was after Hurricane Mitch, I believe it was called. And I tell you what, I just sat there almost the whole time trying to rebuild houses and all this stuff. But I just sat and hung out. But God had me in a different position, hanging out with kids and doing stuff with kids. And just, that's what I was doing. And I never thought of that as being my mission. I was like, oh, this is my mission. This is what I'm doing. You know, this is what God has me doing. He has me waiting on him. God's like, even on the mission field, it's got to be about me and what I'm doing, not about your anxiety to be busy and active and call that ministry and doing stuff for the Lord. He's like, that's not what it's about. Look at the life of Jesus. He was being led by the Spirit. That was his activity. And it kind of, all of that just kind of answered my question. And it was just like, whoa, that is so true. But at the same time, on a whole nother level, there is a sense you can see God is moving things. God's moving pieces. You know, I woke up this morning, you know, after, because yesterday was rough, dude. It was just rough. The last couple of days have been kind of rough. And my last video somewhat indicated that it was pretty rough. And I was just like, yeah, but you know what? I know that a lot of times as you're sailing or you're living life on the sea, sometimes the seas get rough and there's literally nothing you can do about that. But sometimes that roughness, it brings out things in people that need to be brought out. You know, and God's like, oh, I'm the one that's really bringing this up. I'm the one this isn't an attack from the enemy or anything like that. This is just life. And okay, now that it's coming up, let's deal with it, you know? And that was partly what my video was about yesterday. But then I woke up this morning and there was that same song of He Is in the Room by the African girl, Grace, I think her name is. And it was just, the Lord was just like, I'm here, dude. It wasn't the Phil Wickham, yeah, the king is in the room, yeah. It wasn't that. It was the softer version of that one lady. And I was like, man. And the Lord was just, it was almost like he was just caressing my head. And he was just going, I'm here, buddy. I'm still here. I haven't gone anywhere just because it's difficult. It's like the king is in the room and then it gets shaky, you know, and it gets difficult. I'm like, I'm like, this is not what I had in mind. Oh, yeah, this must be the Lord, you know. But it was really cool. And it's so funny because I took time this morning to just talk to my family. We didn't really get into any kind of teaching or anything like that. I was like, how are you guys doing? How are we doing with the journey and the time frame? All this stuff. You know, all the important stuff. And it was just so awesome because we got to share stuff and talk about stuff. And I think that's exactly what God was looking for. He was looking for us to get to this moment where we just talk about stuff and get stuff out in the open. Sometimes you can't do that when things are really hot and heated and intense. And it's like you just can't solve things because sometimes stuff just needs to be heated up. Then it needs to be cooked. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to allow the issues to come up and reveal themselves. Then you can talk about them. Sometimes you can't do both in the same time, in the same time frame. And then so at the end of our God time, everybody left just really just encouraged and just blessed and just like, oh no, we're good. We're fine. We're doing good now. We are all right, you know? And it was really cool because some of the stuff that came forward today was really deep and just needing to be said. And I was just like, wow. So see, a lot of times the way God's moving for you, it might be more of like in spirit or in heart. And what am I trying to say? By way of preparation for a physical move in your life, physical blessing he's going to bring into your life, or a literal physical move, geographical that he's going to do in your life, or something like that. Or that, okay, now you get the call from the boss. It's like, hey, we're considering you for that promotion. Before that, sometimes God's got to really do a thorough cleaning before he can move you. And that's a lot of times for us, that's what this whole journey has been. God's like, you haven't come out here to live. You've come out here to die. Die to yourself in every way possible and imaginable. I'm training you in this, how to die to yourself and your own desires and all that. Yeah, you're doing a great job, And so it's like, to the degree that we suffer is the degree that we can experience the glory of God, right? And so just be encouraged that wherever you're at in your life, whatever God's doing, whatever the enemy might be throwing at you, whatever well-intended family members might be trying to speak into your life, whatever the case, friends, family, with you, separating from you, whatever the case, if you know that you're with the Lord, and that's a whole nother series of 18 or 20 videos right there. But if you just know that just know that you're in the right position that God's put you in, and you're doing the right thing, and he's doing this, and there is an expected end. There's a glorious end. God does not start something without intending to finish. So as long as you stay with him and stick with it, he is going to finish, and it is going to be exactly what he said. He's told you from the beginning what was going to happen at the end, so that when, not if, when it happens, provided that you remain in him, when it happens, you will believe. You will see, and you'll go, whoa. Your faith level will just go through the roof. You know what I'm saying? I know I say that a lot, but it's worth saying. So yeah, I just wanted to encourage you guys with that. Once again, God always comes through with more stuff to reveal and share, and just you can take it and be encouraged by it, and not be dragged down by the things of the soul, the noise of the soul. And so I hope that blessed you guys today, and until next time, bye-bye.